What if Google Maps showed you something that wasn't really there? Maybe you looked up a restaurant or a store, and when you clicked the satellite view, you saw a face in the window or a shadowy figure standing where there shouldn't be anyone. You could chalk it up to the tricks of perspective or light, pareidolia, the human brain's tendency to see patterns in otherwise random things. But what if it was something more sinister? What if Google Maps was showing you something it shouldn't? If that happens, don't expect any help from the authorities. I'm thinking about this because on December 7th, 1958, something like this happened, only it was no trick of the light, and the thing that appeared on Google Maps would stay there for almost 7 decades. It was a regular day in Portland, Oregon. Husband and wife Ken and Barbara Martin got their 3 daughters, 14-year-old Barbara, 11-year-old Cheryl, and 9-year-old Mary, ready for a day trip to the Columbia River. In a place called Cascade Locks, the family piled into their powder blue Ford station wagon and headed east. It was just a little over an hour away, and they planned to do some sightseeing, maybe go ice skating if the weather was good. No one had any reason to think it would be anything other than a fun family day, but shortly after leaving town, heavy rain began to fall and visibility dropped. Around 4 p.m., a witness driving through the town of Cascade Locks saw a car matching the Martins' description speeding away from a bridge that crossed over a channel of the Columbia River. Another witness saw the car moments later skidding off the road and plunging into the water, and that's the last time anyone saw Ken, Barbara, or their 3 daughters alive. A massive search effort turned up nothing. Divers combed the murky waters but couldn't see through the silt and debris. Fishermen pitched in, but the current was too strong. The cold, swift waters of the Columbia River took whatever had gone into them and gave back nothing. In the days that followed, a local man walking along the river spotted 2 bodies floating near the surface and pulled them out. They were the 2 youngest Martin daughters, Cheryl and Mary. An autopsy determined they had both drowned. But what had happened to their parents and Barbara? Well, no one knew. One theory suggested the family's car had slipped off the wet, muddy bank and slid down into the water. But if that had happened, surely the bodies of the parents would have turned up sooner. There were no signs of a struggle, no indication the car had been tampered with, no evidence of foul play, and yet the longer the case remained unsolved, the more suspicion fell on those who had witnessed the car going into the water. Had the driver lost control, or had someone pushed them in? Why? The questions spiraled but produced no definitive answers. As the weeks turned into months, then years, the case went cold. In the 1970s, the newly formed Columbia River Gorge Commission decided to turn the treacherous stretch of river where the Martins disappeared into a recreational area with hiking trails, campgrounds, and picnic tables. It was hoped the development would boost tourism to the area and bring new businesses to the struggling communities nearby. The spot where the car was last seen was named Viento Beach, and ironically, in Spanish, the word viento means windy. For 67 years, investigators, writers, and amateur sleuths obsessed over the case. Some believed it was a tragic accident, others suspected murder. Theories grew, but answers never came, that is until 2018, when diver and sculptor Archer Mayo became captivated by the mystery. Mayo had grown up hearing about the Martins and how their disappearance had cast a long shadow over the community. When he was a kid, he would explore the river in a canoe, imagining what the family must have gone through in their final moments. As an adult, he learned to dive and continued his exploration. He studied old maps of the river and pored over details of the case. He was convinced the family's Ford station wagon was somewhere in the river and that it held the key to solving the mystery. According to reports from the time, the car had gone into the water near the powerhouse pit, a massive gaping hole left behind after workers used explosives to carve out a channel for the Cascade Locks during construction. The area was notorious for its strong currents, low visibility, and unpredictable underwater terrain, but Mayo figured it was worth a shot. He wasn't planning on finding the car, let alone solving the mystery. He just wanted to see if it was even possible to reach the powerhouse pit. Over the next several years, Mayo spent countless hours in the water. He made nearly 60 dives, battled zero visibility, broken springs, and tangled fishing nets, and documented his findings in meticulous detail. Then in August 2025, after more than a decade of work, he finally saw it. He was diving at a depth of about 60 feet when his anchor line snagged on something solid. At first he thought it was a log or a rock formation, but as he cleared the silt, he realized it was a car. He surfaced as quickly as he could and swam to shore. Trembling with excitement, he reported his discovery to the police and then returned to the site with a team of archaeologists and forensic experts. They arrived to find hundreds of spectators crowding the shoreline, all eager to catch a glimpse of the submerged vehicle. Using ropes and weights, Mayo and the others tried to pull the car toward the surface, but it was wedged in the mud at the bottom and wouldn't budge. After several attempts, they attached a crane to the roof of the car and slowly lifted it out of the water. What happened next shocked everyone watching. Inside the car, they found haunting reminders of the family that once occupied it. In the front seat, they discovered Ken Martin's shoe. On the back seat, they found a child's toy cap gun and a girl's sock. Mayo believed it was Barbara's, since her initials, BB, were embroidered on it. On top of the dashboard, they found Ken's camera, its leather case worn and scarred, with his name and Portland address still carved into the corner. The discovery of the car sent shockwaves across the country. Everyone who heard the news was baffled by the fact that it had taken so long to find. And now the question on everyone's lips was, did the car hold any clues as to what happened to the Martins? So far, it doesn't seem like it does. While the team worked hard to remove the car from the water and transport it to a secure facility, neither the police nor the lead investigator, Joe Lucia, seemed overly optimistic about what they might find inside. Forensics teams carefully peeled back the layers of carpeting and upholstery, hoping to find some kind of evidence inside. So far, however, they've found none. Still, Mayo is hopeful that as time goes on, they might find something that will bring an end to the mystery that has haunted his community for so long. For him, the discovery of the car has already provided closure. On August 27, 2025, exactly 67 years to the day after the car was last seen, Mayo released a statement. It read, "I believe that I have found their car, the 1958 Ford station wagon that the Martins were known to be driving. I have not been able to locate the identity of the remains, but we are working on it. However, I believe these are the parents. I believe this is the daughter. I truly believe that, at the time of writing." The Hood River County Sheriff's Office has not officially confirmed the discovery. Speaking to Newsweek, the office said, "We are aware of the media release. However, the remains have not been positively identified and the investigation is still ongoing." For Mayo, though, the case can be considered closed, and I have to agree with him. Sometimes mysteries aren't solved by investigators or institutions, but by ordinary people who refuse to stop searching.